So last night, and I did reach out to Alex of the White Cloaks and the White Cloaks for permission to use what they shared on your channel last night, and they agreed. Gentlemen, Pips, Dane, Alex, everybody over at the White Cloaks, thank you for permission to use this. They got their hands on some insiders with direct leaks around this show. So what we do know about season 2, it starts after a 5-month time jump between season 1 and season 2 within this show's continuity. The first episode starts with Egwene is feeling bad and left out of what's happening. So immediately we're getting teen drama jealousy. Does that sound like The Great Hunt to you?
Oh yeah, I can't wait to see Egwene pouting because she's not getting attention. And the more and more I'm thinking about it, and just from that, it's just like, so are we gonna get Egwene is storming off with Leandrin because she's pissed thing, instead of, hey, we need you to go help or whatever. Like, we're not gonna have dark friend hunters. We're gonna just have an angry teenager who doesn't think she's getting her due, so she flees the tower to go do her own thing because she's unbroken.
What I want to understand in this is how Elaine, Egwene, and Nynaeve could have possibly built a relationship. I guess this 5-month gap just alleviates the need to show what happened. Instead, they can just tell us what happened, which is just an exposition dump.
Yeah.
Perrin. Now, apparently Perrin, for whatever reason, having the last thing that we saw in episode 8 of season 1, Loial be stabbed to death by the dagger from Shader Logoth, the ruby-hilted dagger, and standing there crying, and like a little impotent boy pissing his pants, didn't do anything. But now, apparently, Perrin is off tracking the horn. Now, we've seen scenes of this. Steve, talk about this with me. What is wrong with this? What is wrong with Perrin being off alone tracking the horn?
So there's no reason to send Perrin after the horn. What he did nothing. He's not acted like a lordling. He's not acted in a way that garners him any respect from anybody at Fal Dara. The whole point of them going on the hunt, instead of it just being Ingtar and crew, was Moiraine was forcing Rand into a leadership role.
Yes.
Because Moiraine was smart and not an idiot, and was forcing Rand to think like he was a leader, even though he didn't want to be yet. He wasn't sure about himself yet. The whole point of the third book is him saying, I'm going to pick the hardest thing ever, hardest prophecy. If I do it, there's no doubt who I am. Right?
Bingo.
None of that is happening. So why is Moiraine even involved, or are they just going to go? It's just Perrin just going to be. It sure seems like Perrin's just going to be out in the woods with the Shinorans going after the horn. They're not going to explain why they sent Perrin. Because there's no reason. He's not a skilled fighter. He's a wuss.
No.
He cries. He hasn't accomplished anything. He doesn't act like a lordling. There's no reason to send him. Why is he there?
He had no valor earned like he did at the end of The Eye of the World in the book in season 1 of this not adaptation. So again, they're just skipping over whatever nonsense they made up in the first season to create, again, an emotional journey with non-Perrin doing things that he didn't do. And suddenly now Elias is apparently there, who was entirely skipped. Again, all of the world building and the character development for all of these characters, particularly for the 3 boys, Rand, Mat, and Perrin, is entirely omitted from season 1. When you have not built a character and suddenly you have to put them in important situations that they appear unqualified for, that they didn't earn, this is where we're at. And that's just Perrin. Does anybody know who Perrin is? Why would you care about Perrin as a character? This is a larger conversation for another show. I'm just saying, all of those decisions to create emotional journeys, like Rafe Judkins said,
that's where we always start from and figure out how to tell the story of these people that everyone loves and see through their emotional journey. And then we fit in everything else around that.
we don't care about these characters. These characters aren't developed. It's just literally mouth breathing in scenes that have no meaning. If there's no meaning and no stakes in a story, why would anyone watch? So that brings us to, what is Matt's big story arc for the first 3 episodes going to be? Matt is that's just laying in bed sick crying. That is Matt Cauthon. That is Matt Cauthon's storyline for the first 3 episodes.
I got a sore throat. I can't
Steve,
do anything.
talk to me about that. So they've had 5 months between the events. Again, because this is not even close to the books, they've had 5 months between the events of season 1, episode 8, and apparently the premiere. Matt Cauthon, who, remember, we had not Moiraine, we had Rosamund Pike suck the black ghost energy out of him by herself. Didn't need the tower.
If you try and put together what they've done there, first they just ditched Matt, because whatever happened with the actors. So they just dumped his storyline, right? The black goo has been sucked out of him, so he's supposed to be healed. Yet now he's back in Tar Valon. So now he's in Tar Valon, he's sick, apparently either with channeling sickness or the black goo in Tar Valon. What are we doing? Like, I don't like that sounds like the story. And then you have to overcome all of that and get him to fall me.
Well, and that's what doesn't make any sense. And again, this show is going to deviate greatly from any source material. Again, I think if you bring the perspective of anyone who even casually knows what the story arc is, Matt Cauthon has been completely neutered in this show. We also learned that Lan is going to separate from Moiraine and go back to Tar Valon, which is probably where I've asserted this, that he's going to train Nynaeve with the sword, which is something that Nynaeve would never do, because Nynaeve hates swords. She hates war. She's a healer. She hates swords. She would never do what this show has shown her doing.
She reluctantly fights when she needs to. She doesn't like it. She hates it. Just like you said, she's a healer. And again, once again, they've missed the whole point of her block. They've missed the whole opportunity they had to show that she is an incredible healer, but this block limits her. That's why Nynaeve is interesting. She is incredibly powerful, but she has a problem she has to overcome because it's impeding her progress. Her healing ability, she needs to be angry, but she also needs the help of herbs sometime to get the channeling right. She needs tools to overcome this, and gradually she learns how to do it. Now we have Nynaeve yelling and doing Super Saiyan bubbles. What are we doing? Nynaeve is on the top of the list, is towards the top of the list of most destroyed characters. It's hard to differentiate because they're all so bad.
Again, that must be too complicated for the showrunner, or because they're using intersectional feminism with this. No woman can ever have any challenge she needs to overcome. She's just always amazing. She just doesn't realize how she's even more amazing than what she is. Let's move on to Rand al'Thor. This show's version of Rand al'Thor is in Cauthon now.
They've made him a scared puppy dog. That's all he is. It's I have this. I have this mysterious power. I don't know how to control it. I'm so scared of myself. No, I'm just waiting for it. His power will either be lessened because he needs another person to help him be dragon by the end of season 2, or he will not be dragon, or he will be gentled, or he will be dead.
Let's get to the other point that I want to cover. This one is Moiraine is a raging bitch who drives Lan away, and according to leakers, she's going to have an emotional journey for this season. She is also going to be in Cauthon. Moiraine is fighting Lan in order to make him go away because she can't trust him or herself. I know that I just said a mouthful because it doesn't make any sense, And really what it is it's a made-up storyline, like I talked about in one of my videos, where we have to give Rosamund Pike something to do with Daniel Henney because they're number 1 and number 2 on the call sheet, creating an emotional journey of driving the character of Lan away from Moiraine, and Moiraine becoming a super ninja going and hunting the Forsaken. It is painfully, terribly stupid, but added to the long list of things that are painfully, pathetically stupid.
Lan is obviously, everybody that's read anything, Lan, one of his characteristics is he's probably the most loyal person on the planet, especially to Moiraine. I think he would follow her anywhere, like, period. But the number one thing is, even if he was being a raging biatch to him, he would still not leave her. And then if he did leave her, he'd be going to fight at the Blight border until he died. Because that's just Lan, right? Moiraine is definitely now, like, no doubt, the main character of this show. But the thing that's baffling to me is you're going to start the show off with a person that's your main character that you want us to like by her being a complete piece of crap to her
Yes.
number one guy who
Yes.
will follow you into hell.
Yes.
And you want us to like her.
That have been together for 20 years. For 20 years, they have been bonded, and many, many times, and she even says it in The Eye of the World, how many times she was saved by Lan, where Lan took care of her and kept them safe over and over and over and over again. This is just the most basic bitch intersectional feminist nonsense of, we cannot have strong men who have honor and who can be trusted. Every man needs to be belittled and shamed and put down and deconstructed, which brings us to the last leak. And I'm going to call this a confirmation of what I think a lot of us talked about, but I did a video on, which is Moiraine is now going to be, quote, a Machiavellian manipulator in the series in Cauthon, where she's from. We know about the casting for her sister. We know about the casting, I believe it was for her brother as well. Obviously, the Machiavellian manipulator would have been a character from the books. That would have been Tom Merlin, but Tom Merlin wasn't in season 1. There was somebody with the name of Tom. It wasn't Tom Merlin, and he's totally not in season 2. So again, they took away the power, the mastery of doing things in the game of houses, which is a political intrigue in the city of Cauthon, and they gave it to Rosamund Pike to give her something to do.
The hearing that it's actually happening is different than us predicting it. Every single person that we talked to about this knew this is exactly what they were going to happen. It's the whole reason that Tom isn't in season 2 is because they needed to give her something to do. So that's why, number 2, I think Tom probably isn't coming back, because everything that makes Tom a character is now gone. They've given it to her. So why do we need Tom? I think he's dead, guys. I really think Tom is dead, which is holy crap to me. Jesus, like how Tom is dead? Like, whoa, like what the, like what is wrong with you people? Like, he's one of the most awesome characters, and like all the things you could do with Tom is crazy. And then you give it to her, so now we get to watch her playing Deus de Mar, the game of houses in Cauthon, to dethrone her evil cousin and put her sister on the throne. Who are those people? Right, exactly. Nobody knows who those people are because they are insignificant in the books.
And meanwhile, you have 1,400 pages of 2 books that are focused on Rand al'Thor, the development of Perrin, the development of Mat, key scenes that people love from this series. In both of those books, for all of those characters, not to mention the many journeys and trials and tribulations of Egwene, Nynaeve, the evolution of Elaine, a whole lot of characters. And instead, we're doing that.
It's crazy.
We used to sit around before we started to get information like this and teasers. We used to try and guess what they're going to do. And a lot of us were saying, no matter what we come up with, it is going to pale in comparison with the actual degradation and substandard nonsense that we actually get on the screen. That unfortunately looks to be entirely proved true. We're now getting the narrative. We're getting the narrative that, no, this is not an adaptation at all. It's not even close to the books at all. But that's okay, because somehow the substandard writing in the Beverly Hills 902 meets Falcon Crest bullshit storylines created by Rafe Judkins, Amanda Schumann, and the other writers on this show are somehow going to redefine the genre of fantasy shows on streaming.
It's a dark time, people. It's a dark time.
This show was done filming in May of 2021. The agenda, the narrative in this is as stale as you could imagine it to be a year and a half later. It's everything that you didn't like about those shows that were destroyed with agenda from 2020 and 2021. They're dropping it now. At the end of the day, these episodes will speak for themselves. But the one thing I will say that is refreshing about all of this is because of the strikes right now, we don't have to see Rafe Judkins or anyone who wrote this show on social media taunting us, threatening us, calling us names. This show has to stand on its own merits, just the way that it looks. And I can tell you, for a lot of people, and not just people like me who have obvious biases, Steve, other people like that, the engagement and interest in this is cratered. We'll see. Amazon's Wheel of Time season 2 premieres September 1st. Everybody, you have a good day. Take care.
Trollocs are people too, don't forget.
No, they're not.